Hi, this is Jeffrey Kishner of Sastrology.com. Today I want to talk about why sun signs are so stupid. What I mean by that is that as a professional astrologer who has been running a blog in some form or another for several years, I've encountered so many readers who know nothing beyond sun signs. And this particularly becomes a problem when it comes to compatibility in relationships, because people start stereotyping when we approach astrology from a very reductionistic perspective. For example, if you go to astrology.com and read the comments, every so often you'll read, I dated 2 Virgos and I am never going to date another Virgo again. Whether it's because they're critical or finicky or cold or whatever. And you can look at any sign and people will go, oh, well, I dated an Aries and that's it. I think that people really close themselves off from what life has to offer by a combination of ignorance and the desire to put things into boxes. This makes sense because we want to avoid pain, and if we notice certain patterns, like if we had 2 Virgo boyfriends and they were both horrible, then every Virgo must be horrible. But it doesn't really work that way. And part of the challenge of the field of astrology writing in particular is educating people about the wealth of information you can get from a whole natal chart that includes all the planets. The problem being that a lot of astrology writing perpetuates the kind of sun sign myth, and people think that that's who we are. Just for those who, for example, don't know anything more than sun signs, we have all the planets in the solar system plus the moon and the sun in our chart, where we're from Earth. And each of these planets represents a different part of ourselves. When you read the sun sign horoscopes or you look at, Gemini Virgo compatibility, you're really looking at just one portion of that person. It's an important part. The sun is our ego, our consciousness, our kind of logos, rationality, creative expression, our heroic path in life. It's, I'm a Pisces, and I do identify as a Pisces. I'm imaginative and sensitive and creative and empathic and escapist and all that, but that's just one part of me. And when you don't see beyond that, then you limit yourself. So, to give an example, Venus, the planet of love, relationships, values, money, never travels beyond 2 signs to either side of someone's sun. Now, for a lot of people who don't even know the order of the zodiac, that may mean nothing. When I was studying astrology, I literally had to memorize Aries, Taurus, Gemini, etc., because I couldn't remember, what sign was consecutively next to the other one. But once you know the order of the zodiac signs and their basic meaning, and know, for example, that Venus never travels too far from the sun, then people's behavior makes more sense. A Gemini who has Venus in Cancer may display qualities that are very non-Gemini. Whether it be caring or romantic, or, very focused on security or tradition, certain neediness. Don't give me hate comments, but once you see that, you realize that, every Gemini is going to be extremely different from the other one. And although there's something about their essential ego nature that is going to be somewhat consistent, beyond that, there's just so much variability that you really can't give compatibility justice until you learn some astrology. And the problem with that is that there's a high learning curve. You know, when you're very much at the beginning steps, you have to somehow figure out that there is a chart, that it's not just, oh, I was born between March 20 and April 19, so I'm this sign. Go to astro.com, you know, look up where your Venus is, where your Mercury is, and then, you know, basically go through all these textbook types of references, whether they're on the web or in a book, to read about them and kind of learn how to piece it all together. And so many people don't even get to that point because they think, oh, well, you know, this guy who says he's a Gemini, he doesn't act like one, so astrology must be bunk, and don't even go further. Or, you know, you just sort of stay within the sun sign paradigm for many, many years, just reading your horoscopes, until you realize there's more. And so until that point, there's going to always be this challenge, especially from my perspective as a blogger and publisher, is that, you know, astrology.com is going to attract people who know nothing beyond sun signs. And there are going to be people who are talking about, oh, well, you know, Lilith is conjunct my descendant, and, you know, my moon is intercepted within their 8th house, and, you know, all this stuff which, you know, a lot of people aren't going to understand. So there's many different levels, and the level of dialogue goes back and forth around different levels of depth, so that, you know, a beginner can become fairly alienated or feel like, oh, you know, there's just so much to learn, I'm not going to bother. So that's the end of my rant. Just wanting you to know that if you haven't gone beyond sun signs, that it is very much worth your while to study all that the chart has to offer, and to not judge people just by their sun sign until you know their whole chart. And then you can judge them all you like. From astrology.com, this is Jeffrey Kishner. Till next time, thanks.